Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Paul Wallace. I'm a trader, a coach, and I'm the founder of the London Traders Network. So in his infinite wisdom, Mr. Batsford has cleared off to America to avoid all of the debacle that we saw in the House of Commons last night, which was probably a very wise decision. Whether it was a wise decision to get me to come in and explain what happened, well, we're about to find out, ladies and gentlemen. So I thought I'd call this segment Chasing Unicorns. Why? Well, realistically, what I think is that the vote last night has emboldened every faction within the House of Commons, and everyone thinks that their particular view is going to be the one that actually wins out. So on the far right, okay, in terms of we've got the, let's call it like the hard Brexiteers at one end of the spectrum, they're probably just going tick-tock, tick-tock, thinking that it's going to run down and we'll have a no-deal Brexit. All the way through to the other end of the spectrum where we have the Remainers who are looking for either a second referendum or no Brexit, or actually looking for a general election. Every faction seems to think that they are going to have the sort of the winning outcome. They are all in their own way chasing unicorns in terms of their particular result being the favoured one. So I don't probably need to explain what actually happened last night in the intricate details, but the reality is that Theresa May, she suffered the worst defeat in nearly a century for any prime minister. And now she has to go away and she has to return with her supposed plan B. But if there's anything perhaps we've learned from Theresa May over the last sort of 18 months or so, is that her plan B tends to be sort of more of plan A, basically. That is her plan B, and she's looking a little bit like General Melchett from Blackadder there in that quote you can read on the slide. Furthermore, what we've had is that, Corbyn's brought that vote of not confidence, which I think goes on at about 7 o'clock this evening. And that opens a sort of other, let's say, an interesting consideration that, what happens when he loses that vote of no confidence to what is the worst prime minister in living memory. Is it a case that actually Mr. Corbyn will be the one that loses his job? Is there the one that actually the powers that be within the Labour Party choose to sort of replace him with an ardent Remainer? Who knows? That would have a rather interesting impact upon markets, I think. And invariably, that's what we're here to talk about. So why don't we have a little look and see what actually happened over the last 24 hours? So I appreciate this is a bit of a scruffy chart. It's a bit of a profile of of lots of sterling pairs, okay, across against dollar, against the euro, Canadian dollar, Aussie dollar, against the yen, the Swiss franc, Kiwi dollar, and the FTSE. Now, most traders, okay, were sat there thinking yesterday, we all expected her to lose, and if she lost by a wide margin, actually what we were expecting, most traders would admit that they were expecting to see a sell-off in the sterling. But actually, as if we look onto the next chart, that's not what actually happened. What we saw was, this is a 60-minute chart of cable, and yes, running into the vote, we saw cable selling off, and actually once the result was announced, we saw an immediate sell-off, a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. But as you can see there for yourself, for the rest of the evening, cable and sterling in general actually rose across the board. The question is, why did that happen? Well, I think part of that is actually to sort of see how she reacted to that loss. The vote of no confidence won't have helped, but in fact, I think markets sort of looked at that as a case of that actually they think it's unlikely that a no-deal Brexit will happen. That actually what may happen is there'll be an extension of the Article 50, and that actually was good for sterling. So what we saw was, whereas most currency traders were looking to sell off, and I include myself in that in terms of my initial plan. Well, actually, what we saw was that markets changed that and went in a different direction. A great bit of trading advice that I was given as a young pup from one of my mentors was that if you don't know which way a market's going to go, you just have to think, where does it have to go to cause the most people the most pain, because that's where it'll probably go. And if every man and his dog thought it was going to go short, well, it shouldn't be any real surprise when it pops north. So there you go on in terms of sterling. But let's have a little look at something else knocking onto it, where I think something that is in my watch list that I'll be stalking. What we've got here is the FTSE. This is a weekly chart. I love the trading off the weekly charts. I think it gives you some fantastic opportunities. You can see there for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Since we had that kind of you might call it a double top, a triple top. Okay, since that in the middle of last year, we've just had one-way traffic down beneath that sort of 7,000 area, and price over the last couple of weeks has been sort of quite volatile and knocking back and forth. No surprises. Invariably it's all pretty much sentiment driven at the moment. But price, on the FTSE, rallied up to just underneath that sort of 7,000 level. It's also where that weekly 200 period moving average is. And if we go down to my next chart, which is the FTSE on the 4 hour, Well, actually, what I'm stalking, what I'm looking at there is hopefully you can see that, I see that as a head and shoulders pattern building there on the 4-hour chart. Historically, there are classical technical analysis, head and shoulders is a reversal pattern. Hopefully you can see it there. That's what's being built. I'd probably be using that kind of, 200 period moving average, which is the sort of pale green line as a bit of a natural neckline. And what I'll be looking to do and see is, if price can break that and sort of, hold beneath it, well, then that for me would be bearish for FTSE, and then actually I'll be looking to establish perhaps a short position running down back towards that sort of the bottom of that range there. So my final slide, as always, I always say when I come on here, I'll give my opinion on what I think about that particular market. But you're very welcome to disagree with me, okay? And if you want to disagree with me in person, well then you're very welcome to come along and join the London Traders Network. All right, we're meeting this evening in the cellar bar of the New Moon Pub in Gracechurch Street. The next one will be the Wednesday 20th of March. As I say, it's just about come and have a beer with your tribe, okay? I don't really care whether you've been trading for 2 weeks or 2 decades. Come along and have a chat about your trading experiences with other traders, because nobody really understands your trading journey quite like another trader. So thanks very much. I wish you the very best success in your own trading, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Many thanks.